Do you want to get dialed in for laying down some smaller TIG welds? Today I'm going to show you how to do it and a couple really important things to watch out for. I had somebody hit me up on Instagram asking if I could give any advice on how to make welds that are strong as they should be, but a lot smaller than what is typical. So skinny welds. I've got some plate here that's pretty thin. This is about 1.6 millimeters or 1/16 of an inch. Can't remember what that is in gauges. I'll Google it and put it on the screen here. Thank you, Siri. So let's run a couple here and I'll show you what to watch out for. Got the machine set up here, my Everlast 255 EXT. So first off, take a look at this weld here. This weld is quite small. Given how thick this plate is, I've managed to keep this thing relatively small. I've managed to get proper penetration and proper heat into this material without burning through, but still allowing my filler metal to blend into the base material properly. So how did I go about doing this? As you can see here, I'm running a pass and you can clearly see how much amperage I am using. You'll notice that I am actually using a decent amount of heat into the workpiece still. And the main thing that's going to be mostly problematic when trying to make smaller welds is that when doing so, it's very easy to make welds that are too cold, and when doing so you will not get proper penetration. The problem that happens to a lot of people when they're trying to make things smaller is they usually dial their heat back, which inevitably will make smaller passes. However, these passes will most likely lack proper penetration or fusion between filler material into the base material. The thing that we have to remember when we cut our heat down is that most typically our filler material is just gonna sit on the surface of the base material now. We want proper fusion and proper penetration into the base material. So looking at these passes here, you can see that I've dropped my heat a little bit, sure, but I'm still giving it a good amount of heat to make sure that I properly get into the base material. The first thing I would recommend is I personally prefer to use a 1/16 of an inch or approximately 1.6 millimeter filler rod. But watch what I do with it here. You see what I'm doing? I call this double tapping. The trick that I'm doing here is to keep my passes smaller, obviously, like we're talking about, all the while still getting proper fusion and penetration. What we want to do here is make sure that we do not block our heat into the base material with the filler material that you're adding to the pass. When you're welding too cold, where you've just dropped your heat, this is exactly what you'll be doing. The filler material will just tend to sit on the surface and not blend in properly to the base material. But on the flip side, we also want to make sure that we don't leave things hollow and we add an adequate amount of filler material. As I said, we want to get enough heat into the workpiece, but with inadequate filler material, we're gonna burn through. The trick is to make sure that I fill up the start with enough filler. Once again, I teach this method to all of my students. I say it all the time on my channel. What is it? Fill and chill. When we've done this, once we begin moving, the trick will be to keep this balance of adding enough filler so that it prevents us from burning through, but not too much that we block our penetration into the workpiece. So the trick that I sometimes teach people is double tapping. The way it will work is this. Basically, your first tap will essentially leave the puddle underfilled slightly, because obviously it will be the hotter of the two taps. It will Dad, I'm eating all of these. Okay, go show mom. Thank you, sweetie. Can't get away with nothing in this house. Your first tap will properly sink into the base material, kind of as a little root, you could say. And then the second tap will fill it up on top so that we have proper reinforcement. Remember what our problems are we're dealing with here. We can be underfilled and it will burn through, or we'll fill it up too fast or too cold and it will block proper penetration. When you use a bigger rod, like a 3/32 of an inch or so, or approximately 2.4 millimeters, not only personally does it add too much filler all at once for my liking, but it gets in the way of my vision, which of course, when doing a little tiny weld like this, that's not something I want. However, using the thinner rod and doing one tap or one dab each time, this is going to underfill your pass, which inevitably leads to overheating. Learning this one is going to be a really fine balance between these two variables. We want it smaller, but we also want proper penetration for proper reinforcement for strength, as well as soaking up some of that heat. I did one episode a little while ago right here about one easy way to read your heat input into a workpiece. This is for sure one of the most important things to learn when trying to dial in your heat to filler material ratio. It is always a balance between these two important things, but not enough of one thing of this balance and the whole thing goes out of balance pretty quick. You can use these techniques for other plate joints like I am here, or sometimes when we're going around coped joints as well. Regardless of what it is, check out that episode. It's gonna help you out a lot. Let me know if you try this technique. It helped me out a lot when I first started to learn how to work with thinner material and some slightly smaller stuff. So go out today, do a random act of kindness for a stranger, and if you're a true arc head who watches the show every week, leave a dime in the comments below. I love seeing them. For Pacific Arc TIG Welding, my name is Dusty. Fill and chill. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.